So we're going to look at square roots and cube roots. We're going to understand what is meant by square roots and cube roots, recognize square roots and cube roots without a calculator, find square roots and cube roots using a calculator, and find higher roots using a calculator. You need to know the multiplication tables, and also it's worth watching the previous video that I covered on powers. The link is in the description below. Square numbers are numbers that are multiplied by themselves. So 5 squared is 5 multiplied by 5, which is equal to 25. And 9 squared is equal to 9 multiplied by 9, which is equal to 81. Cube numbers are numbers that are multiplied by itself and then multiplied by itself again. So 2 cubed is equal to 2 times 2 times 2, which is equal to 8. And 8 cubed is equal to 8 times 8 times 8, which is equal to 512. Here are a list of square numbers and cube numbers you should try to learn so that you can record them without using a calculator. 1 squared through to 12 squared, these are in the multiplication tables. The additional ones at the bottom from 13 squared to 25 squared are ones that I've learned over time. So that's 13 squared is 169, 14 squared is 196, 15 squared is 225, and 25 squared is 625. Now with 13 squared and 14 squared, if you notice, the last two digits swap around. So that's how I remembered those two square numbers when I initially was trying to learn them. With cube numbers, well, the first 5 set of cube numbers are as follows. So you've got 1 cubed is equal to 1, 2 cubed equal to 8, all the way through to 5 cubed is equal to 125. So it would be useful to try and remember these without having to use a calculator. So let's deal with square roots and cube roots. If I know that 5 squared is 5 multiplied by 5, which is equal to 25, well, the square root is the reverse process. So the square root of 25 is equal to 5. So what the square root is asking is what number, such that when I multiplied it by itself, gave me the answer 25? Well, the answer to that is 5. Similarly, with 9 squared, which we know is equal to 9 multiplied by 9, which is equal to 81, well, the square root of 81 is 9. What number, when multiplied by itself, is equal to 81? The same goes with cubed roots. If I know that 2 cubed is equal to 8, then the cube root of 8 must be 2. The cube root is asking what number, when I multiplied by itself and then multiplied by itself again, gives us the answer 8. The answer to that is 2. And if I had 8 cubed, which I know is 512, the cube root of 512 is equal to 8. So when dealing with square roots, if you are comfortable with multiplication tables, then you should be comfortable with all the square numbers within the multiplication tables. If you are comfortable with those, then you should be comfortable with the square roots. Here's all the square numbers, and here are all the square roots. If I look at 4 squared, which is equal to 16, I know that the square root of 16 is equal to 4. And if I have 6 squared, which is equal to 36, I know that the square root of 36 is equal to 6. Again, here are the cube numbers, and here are the cube roots. So questions that you should be able to answer without a calculator. What is the square root of 49? Well, the square root of 49 is equal to 7, because 7 times 7 is equal to 49. What is the square root of 121? Well, the square root of 121 is equal to 11, because 11 times 11 is equal to 121. What is the cube root of 27? Well, the cube root of 27 is equal to 3, because 3 times 3 times 3 is equal to 27. And what is the cube root of 125? And the answer to that is 5, because 5 times 5 times 5 is equal to 125. Now let's deal with finding roots using a calculator. And as in the last video, I'm going to be using my smartphone to do these calculations. So here's the calculator on my smartphone, and these are the 3 buttons that we need to be concerned with for finding roots. Notice that these buttons are below their opposites. The square root button is just below the squared button, the cube root button is just below the cube button, and the high roots button is just below the button for finding any number to the power of something. Again, it's important before you start doing any calculation to press this button here to clear any calculations that might be in the calculator. Otherwise, you might get an incorrect result. So what is the square root of 529? So what we do is we type in 529, press our square root button here, and it gives us the answer 23. With this question, what is the square root of 316? Give your answer to 2 decimal places. Well, first of all, let's clear the previous calculation. Type in 316, press the square root button, and we get the answer 17.77638 and so on. And so to 2 decimal places, I have done previous videos on this kind of work. The answer is 17.78 to 2 decimal places. What is the cube root of 4096? So we clear the calculator, we type in 4096, press the cube root button, and we get the answer 16. What is the cube root of 5375 to 1 decimal place? So let's clear the calculator, type in 5375, press the cube root button, and we get the answer 17.516990 and so on and so on. And to 1 decimal place, the answer is 17.5. Extending this work to higher roots. If we look at the button where we've got the y root of x, because x comes before y in the alphabet, x is going to be the first value that we're going to type into our calculator, and y will be the second value. So if we have the question, what is the 5th root of 16,807? The first thing we do is we type in the 16,807. This represents our x. We now type the y root of x button, and then we're going to type in 5, as this represents our 5th root. This represents the y value. We then press equals, and we get the answer 7. And if I had what is the 10th root of 14,385, give your answer to 3 decimal places. So I'll clear the calculator first of all. So I'm going to type in 14,385, press the y root of x button. We're finding the 10th root, so I now type in 10, press equals, and I get the answer 2.604899 and so on. And to 3 decimal places, this is equal to 2.605. So there's a brief introduction to cube roots and square roots. As mentioned earlier, especially when dealing with square roots, you need to know the multiplication tables. If you know that 12 multiplied by 12 is equal to 144, then you should be able to recall that the square root of 144 is equal to 12, because 12 times 12 is equal to 144. In the next video, I'm going to be looking at standard form. But I hope you found the video helpful. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe, and thank you for watching.